Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni viewer, and I guess it's finally time to talk about Monsterpocalypse and what happened with that, because, much to my surprise, there's been an update. Not the update I or anyone else was expecting, but all the same. So, just to give you a brief history of what's going on, back in the early to mid 2000s, Monsterpocalypse was a tabletop mini game released by Privateer Press. And it was both it had both its good points and its bad points. Good point was that the miniatures all came pre-painted, already assembled, ready to go. Bad point was that it was sold blind box, so it was very difficult to build an army of whatever faction you wanted when you didn't know what you were going to get. It kind of faded away, although the fan base was very devoted. And then in the 2010s, the mid to late 2010s, it came back, and it came back in force. Now you had the individual models that you could get without the blind boxing. They could be assembled and painted in a customizable way. Uh, you know, the factions were expanded, new factions were added. They really wanted this to do well, and it was doing well for a while until the Kickstarter happened. The basic story with that is Privateer Press partnered with Mythic Games, who are known for doing really elaborate episodic board game style type of games, among others. But like they really went all in with detail and whatnot. So they partnered with Mythic Games to make Monsterpocalypse into a board game format. Same rules, same characters, same factions and everything. Only instead of having to get every piece individually, you could get multiple things for what you needed in one box with expansions. And it seemed like a good idea at the time. You know, I wanted to get into Monsterpocalypse from the very beginning, didn't want to do the whole blind box thing. I meant to get into the individual relaunch bit, but, had to watch my finances. It was the Kickstarter where I finally decided, well, it's going to be expensive, but if it gets me everything in one go, then it'll probably be worth it. And I can have people over to run the game, and yeah, it would work. Or so I thought, and so many others thought. The Kickstarter reached its goal. It unlocked all the different add-ons, and then we waited and waited. Updates from Mythic Games became very sparse. Word started to come in that something was amiss behind the scenes. Eventually, it came out that Mythic was actually using the funds raised for the Monsterpocalypse board game to finance other projects, which was not part of the deal. You can imagine people got really upset by that, but due to the nature of Kickstarter, with all those disclaimers that they throw at you that barely anybody reads, there really wasn't anything to do about it, unfortunately. Some people asked for refunds, and some people got them. For the most part, though, things just kind of went quiet, and rumors that Mythic was going to go under, I don't think ultimately proved true. But the Monsterpocalypse board game that they promised people who spent so much on it never actually materialized. And through it all, Privateer Press was oddly silent. And I say oddly because usually, according to their supporters, they were really good at maintaining communication with their customer base and trying to make good if something wasn't right. So for them to suddenly be quiet about why this was going so wrong was weird. So the years passed, and I think most of us just kind of wrote off that was a bad investment, but as long as it didn't devastate us, the only thing to do was to learn from it and move on. I guess there is a lesson to be had about how you can't very well always trust a Kickstarter, even when the company is legit. But here's the unexpected update. On the 26th of March, 2025, Privateer Press sent out an email to everyone who had backed the Kickstarter, and that includes me, so I got this email as well. And there's also a link to a general update on their website that I will provide a link to. They basically said that they were as disappointed with how that went as we were. Well, maybe not as much, given, well, all the same, they were disappointed. They thought the deal was going to work out, but it clearly isn't, so they've parted ways with Mythic Games. They want to try getting MONSTERPOCALYPSE back on track, because after that whole fiasco, it kind of went dark for a while there. But their goal is to try getting back on track, and as a show of goodwill, they said that everyone who backed the Kickstarter is going to get access to the STL files for 3D prints of the miniatures that would have been part of the game completely for free through My Mini Factory. The update also said that they know that doesn't really make up for what happened, but it's the best they can do at the moment, and they're gonna try moving forward in a better way from there. So there's at least something that backers like me are going to get from this. The question is, though, do we trust Privateer Press again? The question of trusting Mythic Games again, that's easy. They're the ones who were trusted with this particular project. They're the ones who ran the Kickstarter. They're the ones who misused the funds that we donated to that Kickstarter, and they're the ones who haven't delivered. So as far as I'm concerned, they're never going to see any support from me ever again, if that's how they're going to be. So nuts to Mythic Games. As far as Privateer Press goes, like I said, it was weird that it took them this long to finally say something, and they still haven't really said much about what happened. They did say that they were trying to make things work out behind the scenes, but they didn't give any details. That could be rationalized as, NDAs and whatnot. Although a little bit of transparency beyond just we've been trying would have been nice in this regard, given the circumstances. That said, though, it does seem like they're at least trying to set things right, and they've started that process. Does that mean we fully trust them? I don't know. The worst thing they did at this point was take too long to actually say something about it. Making that initial deal, that was a mistake on their part, yes, but they probably thought it was a good move. And we thought it was a good move as well. So can't fully fault them for that. I do still think that there is a little bit of a path ahead of them where they would need to earn our full trust back. But it's not as long as the road that Mythic would have ahead of it, if that was even an option for them. All I know is that I'm going to try printing those minis out somehow. I don't have a 3D printer myself. I know some people who do. But for now, that's the update. MONSTERPOCALYPSE seemed like it was dead once again, but like any good giant monster, it keeps coming back. Hopefully things will be for the better this time. We don't know what the future holds specifically, but I guess we'll see. Like I said, I am cautious, but a part of me does still want to at least give Privateer Press one more chance. We'll see what happens. So until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.